year. The key question with Larry Bird, they were in a hard cap in the NBA. And when you look at this and bringing it back home, Adam Silver, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, Breanna Stewart, who are the superstars of the WNBA, but especially for Caitlin because she has such brand marketing deals, probably averaging $30 to $50 million a year. The Bird rights gives a team an opportunity to re-sign its best player and not be restricted by the cap.
On live television, Larry Bird just accomplished the unimaginable. The three-time NBA champion fully broke his habit of being quiet, approached Caitlin Clark during a post-game interview, and grabbed the microphone out of her grasp. Before complete chaos broke out, the entire arena fell silent. This one spontaneous action simply altered the WNBA scene indefinitely. What do you think will happen in the rest of the league till Larry Bird taking a public step? And to defend Caitlin Clark in this manner, please share your opinions in the comments section below, as we need to discuss this.
And put an understanding out, because with Caitlin and what the players and the collective bargaining agreement are negotiating, folks, I'm wondering if it's the best fit for the top players of the WNBA. CBA agreements, the collective bargaining agreement is coming up. They're going to have an intense meeting for All-Star Weekend. And I wanted to bring this up for Caitlin Clark and the Larry Bird rights rule. Okay? And we'll start from a revenue perspective as Caitlin leads the league in revenue. Where am I going with this? It wouldn't make sense to have a contract for Caitlin.
For a moment, let's be totally honest. Larry Bird doesn't only attend games to strike up conversations. In the present day, the man is basically a basketball ghost. He doesn't care about social media and doesn't go on podcast tours, media influence, and he most definitely doesn't actively participate in media drama. Larry Legend is who he is. His rings are safe, his legacy is unchangeable, and he only uses his voice in situations that truly matter. Therefore, when a man who hardly ever talks in public chooses to participate in a live television broadcast, bypass the guards, and seize a microphone, the sports industry is poised to undergo a significant paradigm shift. In order to fully comprehend the seriousness of what transpired, we must examine the environment in the arena immediately prior to. The mayhem broke out. The Indiana Fever had just won a tough, arduous comeback. As usual, Caitlin Clark filled the stat sheet with 28 points, 10 assists, and a deep, absurd three-pointer that nearly brought down the building. It was meant to be a typical interview after the game. The interviewer was asking the standard sanitized questions while the cameras were rolling. Clark was responding to inquiries on leadership and teamwork in her customary kind manner. Everything appeared to be perfectly normal. Then the noise from the crowd began to shift. Instead of the customary applause for a win, it was a perplexed. The roar began to rise close to the tunnel. In fact, the interviewer paused mid-sentence. Everyone spotted him as the camera operator had to swiftly draw back to a wide angle. Larry Bird, walking straight for the broadcast table, was the epitome of blueprint basketball brilliance. He wasn't there to sign autographs, he wasn't grinning, and he wasn't waving to the fans. He was completely staring into his eyes. On Clark, first, Clark was so preoccupied with responding to the media that she did not even notice him. However, when she eventually turned around, she froze when she noticed the Hall of Famers standing directly next to her. It was sheer, not fear. Pure wonder. This was not a corporate publicity gimmick. This was unadulterated, unvarnished fact. Bird didn't hold out for an invitation. He extended his arm, snatched the microphone from Clark's grasp, and turned his renowned steely glare straight into the camera's lens and spoke in that rich, very calm voice. He stared directly at the camera and claimed to have been observing for a considerable amount of time. What everyone is witnessing, he claimed, is unlike anything he has ever seen, referring to her as the real deal. Next, he said the line that will be repeated for the following 50 years. He claimed that since the 1980s, he had not seen a tougher player, and he would not stand by and remain silent while others attempt to downplay her actions on the court. The arena fell silent. The place completely erupted as the weight of those remarks fell for a brief moment. Bird wasn't merely providing a courteous. He was drawing a line in the sand when he complimented a younger player. He was making it clear to the detractors. The cynical experts and talking heads should back off. He was moving straight into Clark's line of fire. A player who has endured a ridiculous amount of criticism during her professional career, harsh fouls, and persistent uncertainty. We had never witnessed Clark's response on live television. Regardless of how harsh her feelings may be, she typically maintains a very calm demeanor. The surroundings, however, getting that degree of affirmation from Larry Bird himself broke through that barrier. Her lips began to tremble, she covered her face, and she even started crying throughout the show. It was by no means a display of weakness. IT was a player's emotional release after bearing the full burden of a sport. On her shoulders, at last being informed that she belongs by a true titan of the game. However, Bird wasn't even done. Not yet speaking. Holding onto the microphone, he continued, "She deserves respect, but she doesn't need anyone to protect her." He informed the crowd that they weren't truly watching the basketball game if they couldn't show her that respect. They are merely reflecting their own anxieties that IT was vintage, classic Larry Bird, absence of corporate filters. No sanitized PR jargon, simply direct communication that cuts through the clutter. He returned the microphone to a surprised interviewer, nodded to Clark, and turned to go. The internet dissolved totally. Down in a matter of minutes, the video went viral right away, receiving over 20 million views worldwide. By the time the sun rose the following morning, legendary veterans, former NBA players, and sports icons began to pour in. Social media with assistance. The entire basketball world is compelled to stop what they're doing when Larry Legend speaks. Doing and paying attention. Suddenly, even the sports media's most outspoken detractors of her became silent. Because no one wants to debate Larry Bird's basketball numbers. The business world right away hurried to respond to this momentous occasion spanning generations. An immediate, exclusive crossover campaign was announced by Nike. And a limited edition jersey with Clark's number entirely alongside Bird's distinctive style. In less than 4 minutes, it was sold out online. Sales of tickets for the following 5 home games abruptly stopped. However, the enormous change of the story is far more significant than the financial consequence. Bird successfully made it entirely. It's uncool to criticize her performance without thinking, when you consider the amount of pressure she has endured. It makes perfect sense why Bird felt the need to intervene from the beginning. Each and every foul she commits is discussed on national television. People who don't even watch the games analyze every word she says. She has been hauled about all the time while being compelled to symbolize the league's future. Back into the convoluted politics of the past. Nevertheless, she continued to perform without once crying or complaining. Bird saw a kindred spirit in her, and that's just what he recognized. Bird is fully aware of how it feels. Like to be greatly despised simply for being incredibly talented at basketball. He is familiar with walking. Enter a hostile, packed arena and quiet thousands of spectators with a clutch jump shot. He is aware of how the media can turn self-assurance into conceit and how people would look for any reason to undermine excellence. Bird doesn't care about the outside chatter about marketing, privilege, or hoopla at all. Hoopers are important to him. And he just said to the world that Caitlin Clark is a complete liar. This moment is far more than a straightforward post-match highlight. This relates to the forthcoming collective bargaining agreement and the enormous financial reality of the WNBA. Currently, the biggest talents, such as Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, and Breanna Stewart are advancing the game, but Clark is acting radically differently when it comes to income and brand marketing. According to estimates, she earns between $30 and $50 million annually in external recommendations. She is increasing league income to unprecedented levels on her own, which leads to a huge structural discussion over the league's financial prospects. The NBA has what's referred to as the bird rights rule bears Larry's name. During the hard cap era, a regulation was developed that permitted teams to re-sign its own local superstars by going above the pay ceiling. The WNBA gets ready for extraordinarily intensive negotiations for the new collective bargaining agreement during the forthcoming All-Star weekend. Accord, the elite players' pay system must be altered. When looking at revenue alone, for a player who generates millions of dollars in ticket sales, it is completely nonsensical. Rigid, antiquated pay systems will limit television contracts, when reporters eventually discovered. She was definitely frightened by the event, but she was also noticeably calmer when she met Clark in the locker room following the game. She said that she never in a million years thought such an event would occur on live television. However, she then said something that will most likely appear on a t-shirt by tomorrow morning. If Larry Bird thinks. If she is accepted into this league, she will no longer have any self-doubt. That is the strength of genuine validation. She is not seeking shortcuts or preferential treatment. She has been battling for fundamental equity and respect on the court ever since she became a professional, observing one of the best athletes. It is an unforgettable moment in sports history to ever touch a basketball and pass it on to the next generation. Fans will be analyzing this momentous occasion between two basketball legends for years to come. Do us a great favor if you want to stay up to date on breaking news, amazing tales, and in-depth analysis of the game. Turn on notifications, subscribe to the channel, and click the like button. Your assistance enables us to expand this wonderful community. I'll see you later.